Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Catalina and I'm a personal trainer and nutritionist, and I'm all about helping you form structure around your health, fitness, and self-care with a smidgen of digital organization sprinkled in there these days. Now, today's video is all about that squat. We're going to be talking about unlocking your squat so that you can hit full depth and progress your weight safely. Squats are a fundamental aspect of any good lifting program. They're a compound movement, which means they are working more than one muscle group at the same time, rather than an isolation, which works only one. They mainly work the glutes, the quads, and the core if you're doing everything right. I consider them highly functional in the real world. Especially, as we age, being able to get up and down from a seated position is really, really crucial and really important to our independence. I'm a firm believer of the adage, just because you can doesn't mean that you should. Now, this comes in especially true when it comes to adding more weight to your squat. Just because you can go heavier doesn't mean you necessarily should, especially if you're sacrificing form. Think about that next time you add more weight and realize that you're not exactly hitting depth. Now, why is depth important? Because if you're not hitting depth, you're not getting the full benefits of this movement. You're not working the muscles and getting the full range of motion, and you're not getting everything out of it that you should be. So in order to get the most out of the squat movement, depth is really going to be important. We are all at the mercy of our own physiology, such as our femur length, or the upper thigh of our legs, and how our femurs sit into our pelvis. Our torso length also comes into play here. But in addition, there are some aspects of our physiology that we can make a difference on, that we can control, and that can help us get the most out of our squat range of motion. For example, our ankle and hip mobility, how they move, and then our hip flexibility. We have a lot of say in how that works. In order to learn more about this and how to unlock the true squat depth and potential, follow me to the gym and let's get working. Okay, so the first time around we had some huge audio difficulties in the gym. It was loud AF, and I think now I got the Bluetooth microphone working. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the three main ways that I help to unlock my squat here in the gym, and let's get to it. So step number one is a great warm-up. I start that out for myself with my foam rolling. So you're going to need a nice firm foam roller, not one of the soft ones. And we are going to start up on your glute muscles. If you've never done foam rolling before, it can feel a little bit shocking, I'm not going to lie. You're going to start by sitting up on your butt on the foam roller. Rather than starting nice and even, although you can, both feet flat on the ground, rolling back and forth over your butt, just to kind of get used to it. Then you're going to lean over to one side, cross that leg under. That's going to get you a little more pointed focus on that one side. Might feel a couple little bumps is the only way I can describe it, and that's just the foam roller crossing over your pelvis or a particularly tough knot. Go over a couple of times on that side, and then you're going to switch, cross that leg under, and go to the other side. Okay, we are gonna go back all the way, let the foam roller come down to your hamstrings, lift up our hips, and roll our hamstrings. Now you can't hurt your knees if you go alongside the underside of your knees, but you're also not getting a whole lot of work done there. So stick to the meaty part of your hamstrings, roll yourself back and forth. The hamstrings have multiple bands in them, just like the quads will. We'll get to that later. So after you do a couple of pass-throughs just on the flat side of your hamstrings, I'm going to have you pull your heels in just like Dorothy. We're going to get the outer edge of your hamstrings. And then we're going to do the opposite. Pull your toes in and get the inner thigh of your hamstring. One area might be tighter than the other, and that's okay. We're just loosening everything up. Now we want to get the calves. We're going to be doing some intense calf stretching and work, so we just want to make sure they're nice and soft. You can put your whole body weight up onto them and roll them if that feels good to you. I also just like pressing down and wiggling back and forth. That's my favorite method of warming those up. Ooh, right one is very tight for me today. And that's ironic because my left ankle is my super tight ankle. But the right calf is sore today. Oh. Okay, now it's time for the tough part. Not gonna lie to you. We are going to foam roll our quads. We're gonna get out onto a plank pose. For this one, you can hurt your knees if you go over your knees, so do not do it. We're gonna stay on our quads, going back and forth, using a body saw technique where you just use your shoulder muscles to pull your body forward toward your pelvis, push yourself back. Toward your pelvis. Pull yourself forward toward your knees. Back. Now this one's going to be tender for most folks if you've never done it before. Again, don't want to lie to you and tell you this is going to be easy or feel like a nice stretching session. This one's pretty intense, but an important part of your warm-up. I like to lean over to the left side, put a little more focused intent onto one side, and then we're going to do the same over to the right. Do the same thing as we did on our hamstrings. We're going to do Dorothy style, heels in. That's going to get our inner thighs. And then here's a little tougher one. Separate the thighs a little bit, do toes in. There's our outer thighs. Okay, now on the outer edge of each thigh, we have something called an IT band. It runs alongside the seam of each legging. And this is going to be so important. The IT band connects the pelvis to the knee. Very dense, fibrous tissue. And it can get tighter and tighter and tighter on most folks without ever getting loosened back up again. If you find that you get out here and you're not really feeling too much, it feels like a walk in the park, that means you haven't found it yet, okay? So keep changing the angle, leaning forward, leaning back. There's mine right there. You can tell because my breathing changes and it's tender and it's sore. Notice I have my front leg out in front here to provide a little relief, a little extra help. You want to come all the way out toward the knee. That's where it's going to be most tender for a lot of folks. Press all the way back down toward the hip. Change the angle a little bit. Keep rummaging around till you find the good sticky stuff. Then you're going to switch sides. Do the same thing on the other leg. Left side for me is not nearly as tender. No problem over there. In fact, I can layer both legs together and put my whole body weight on it. No problema. There is foam rolling. Step one of a good warm-up. All right, next thing we're going to do is leg swings. You're going to grab a PVC pipe. We're going to start with a front and back. Nice and small, just opening things up. Forward and back. Until we start warming up those hip flexors and the hamstrings. About 10 swings should do it. Then we're going to go the other way. Cross the body and out to the side. You can do this holding onto anything for support. The squat rack you're about to use, a box, whatever's going to work for you. Switch hands, same thing. Front and back. 10 reps. And side to side. Cross the body. Out to the side. 10 reps. Foam rolling. And our leg swings. Done. Starting to get warm. All right, let's do some band work. All right, next thing I'm going to do in my squat warm-up is squat with a band. These don't have to look perfect. They don't have to look pretty. We're just warming up. I like a medium resistance band right above the knees, and get squatting. We're going for 10 reps. Keep those heels down. Keep the chest and torso as high as you can right now, and get on down. About 10 reps. Very good. On the last one, you're going to stay relatively low, and you're going to step on out. Itty bitty little steps. Monster walks. Activate your abductors. About 10 reps out to one side. Bring it back to the other. You don't want to release tension and come all the way back in. You want to keep tension the entire time. So just little steps. Okay? 10 reps one direction, 10 reps the other. Then you're going to face the other direction, so you're moving forward. Same idea. Step forward. Big steps. Forward. Once you get to 10 steps in the forward direction, you're going to keep that tension. Step back. Step back. Step back. 10 steps forward, 10 steps back. The last work I do with a band is a simple toe touch. It looks like a good morning or a Romanian deadlift. However you want to think of things. It's your perspective. So slide bend to the knees, chest forward, proud chest, shoulders down and back nice and flat. We're just going to toe touch for 10. Keep tension on the band. Feet are shoulder width apart. Keeping that tension tight. About 10 to 15 reps here. It should be very warmed up. Whew, feeling this by now. Okay. Bingo. Now, the last thing we're going to do for any good warm-up for the lower body, whether you're deadlifting or squatting, are bird dogs. Here are a couple things to keep in mind for your bird dog. Number 1, having a neutral back. Here's what that means. Pull your rib cage up to the sky, push it all the way down to the earth, and then come back to the middle. There's your neutral spine. Nice flat back. You should be able to balance a dinner tray on there. Now, your arm is coming out straight from your body, nice and straight. The opposite leg is also going to come out nice and straight. Okay? Put those two things together, that's where you come out to. You're going to bring everything into center, extend back out. Into center, extend back out. What we don't want from the back leg is a hyperextension. That is dangerous for your back. Everything stays really neutral. The spine and your core should not move too much. We'll go for 10 reps on this side. Come back to center. Make sure you're in neutral. Go for 10 reps on the other side. Keep it smaller than you think. Core tight. Glutes contracted. Everything super controlled. 10 reps each side. Wag your tail a little bit. Ooh, got a hip crack there. And there we go. All right. That's our warm-up. We're ready to go. Let's check our hip mobility in order to get started. All right, we got to find out where you're getting locked up in your squat. Is it your hips or your ankles? Now you're about to find out that it is not my hips. I was blessed with super flexy hips from my dance days. So, test number 1. You're going to lie flat on your back, anywhere. On the ground, on a physical therapy table, whatever works for you. Completely flat, shoulders down onto the ground. You're going to bring one knee as far into the chest, using your hands as you can. If you can get your knee into your chest, you're good. Even open it up to the outside. Little quarter circle here. Rotate it all the way back down around to the ground. Be sure you test both sides. There could be a disparity between your left or your right side. That'll still prevent your squat from opening up at the hips. Here's the right side. Open up all the way around. There's our hip mobility test. It could be an issue of flexibility, or it could be that you have an impingement issue just because of the way your femurs sit into your pelvis. Either way, we can make some adjustments. But the first thing we'll do is work on flexibility. So we're going to attempt a pigeon stretch. This is the pose we're getting into. If you cannot do this on the ground, you will do this on a box or on a stretching table or on your bed, okay? You will do it from a standing position. If you can do it from the ground, great job, super cool, okay? So the front leg is bent. You are pressed evenly through the middle of your hips. You're not bent over to one side or the other. You're nice and tall right in the middle. You don't want to hunch forward in order to bend prematurely. Instead, stay nice and tall with a relatively even flat back. As you get better, and as you can keep that flat back, you're going to bend forward, go to your elbows, trying to stay relatively even. And as you get better, you can come down to the ground and drape right over your leg. Okay, you'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, if you're not here, no problemo. Just do this standing up at a box is what most folks do in our gym. We got like jump boxes, you can set it to your height. It's got to be at hip level in order to work. And if you still can't do that, bring it down a notch. No problem. That's one of the best flexibility exercises for your hips that'll make a big difference for this. The other thing you can do is just lie flat on the ground and pull your knee into your chest, just like you did for the mobility test and flexibility test to begin with. Now, the other accommodation you can make if it's a mobility issue and not a flexibility issue is a wider squat. So for example, I do my squats relatively wide with knees and toes pointing out, and it makes a huge difference in my depth. If I were to do that same thing here, this is as low as I get. It's a huge difference. There's narrow with feet forward. There's wider with feet flared out. I think it has to do with the way that my hips, the tops of my femurs sit into my pelvis. So if you find that you're not sitting down deep into your squat, but your hips are flexible, open your squat up a little bit and point your toes at a 45-degree angle and make sure your knees point in that direction as well. You don't want a difference in where your knees point versus where your toes are going. Okay? So let's say your hips were fine, super flexible, mobility is good, that wasn't the issue. Chances are it might be your ankles. Follow me over to a wall and I'll show you the ankle mobility test. So you could be having tight calves, and that could be an issue when you got to just create some flexibility in your calf muscle. Or you could be having ankle mobility issues. Either way, rocking your ankles into a wall is going to tell you what's going on there. So I'm first going to show you my left ankle, quote unquote, the bad ankle. I have broken it and sprained it, broken it once, sprained it countless times. So you want your foot about 2 inches, give or take, away from the wall, and you are going to rock, keeping the heel down into the wall. As you can see, my knee does not touch. It's about 1 inch away. It's not terrible. I've gotten better because I practice. You want your knee to go over your toe, following that path straight forward so that you're not at an angle in or out. So this one's not my great one. My hang-up issue with my squats is definitely my ankle. Here is my right side. I get much closer to the wall over here, about 3 centimeters away. And as I warm up, I'll get closer and closer. Now on my right side, my heel stays down, my knee gets super close, and my ankle feels it like, I can't explain it really well, I'm just going to babble. It has full range of motion. It feels like a smooth glide for my ankle. There's no impingement in all those little square bones that fit together in the ankle. In the left one, that's not true. Because I've broken my ankle so many times, because the ligaments and tendons are tight, because it feels like there's an impingement. There's an issue. I'm going to get looser the more rocks I do, but there's just something else. There's something that I can't quite put my ankle on for a reason why this is just not opening up and feeling like a simple gliding motion. So let me show you how to help that. Here's what we're going to do. We've got a setup here that makes this super easy, but there are other ways that you can rig this. You can put a band around the bottom of a rack, for example. We have this box set up, and we have these bands already hooked up to a super strong system on the floor. So we are all prepared and ready to go for this. I'm going to take the band, place it right over that spot where I felt like I wasn't getting the range of motion. It's right over the crease of the ankle. And I'm going to pull against. And then I'm going to sit really deep down into a deep lunge. Keeping that heel down, pulling myself into my knee, using my whole body weight. And I'm going to ankle rock back and forth here. Pull back a little bit, press down into my, oh, there it went. I literally just felt whatever that impingement was slide back, using the band to pull me. Let me do that again. It feels completely different now. It feels strange. I do not like it, but it works. This is definitely one of the mobility exercises I have incorporated in on a regular basis, and it has made a huge difference. Banded ankle rocks. I feel a stretch all along my calf, and that's normal for this style of ankle rock. But with the band, I just felt a full release and a pull back against that impingement. It feels so much better. Now, I would do that about 5 or 10 times. I'm going to release the band, and I'm going to do the intense style ankle rock down here too. There's nice little spots down in here where I can really push against my knee. Stretch out the calf. I like to hold it for about 5 seconds. Do about 5 or 10 reps there. And as they loosen up and open up, you go back and you test against the wall again. And let's check out the difference. You ready? Let's check out the impingement side. About 2 inches from the wall. Way over the toe this time. Much better. I do not feel the impingement anymore. It feels gone. Other side. Oh, touching the wall. So close. Much better. So now when I go to squat, boom, down into it. And that takes me to the next little warm-up exercise that I do before I squat, and that is a weighted squat. Let me show you what I mean. I grabbed a 30-pound kettlebell. I'm going to set up my feet and my width the way I like it. I'm going to come on down low and just sit here. About 5 or 10 seconds. Come on back up. Come on down. Oh, I let my arms come on the inside of my thighs that time, and that opened everything up. That was a good rep. Back up. I would do about 5 to 8 reps like this. Ooh, there we go. Pause squats, goblet style. You can do this with a plate, you can do it with a kettlebell, whatever you have available. Okay. There we go, guys. Those are the 3 methods that I would use when I'm training my clients and that I have used to unlock my own squat. My squat was drastically different back in the day. I was squatting much heavier and I was getting half depth. And that has a place amongst the ego, I suppose. And there is a certain range of motion that does work something going on in your body. However, I'm much more focused on form and depth these days. Thank you for checking that out. I hope this helps you in some way, whether it's with hip mobility and flexibility or ankle mobility and calf flexibility. Thanks for checking this out. Let's head back to the office, Catalina, for the sign out. Okay, that was a lot of info. Thank you so much for sticking around. Please like this video if you learned something, if there was something that you got out of this that helped your squat or that you didn't know about. And subscribe to my channel so that you can see more videos like this. We're going to be doing something similar with the bench press and with range of motion specific lifts just all over the place, making sure that we are staying safe, staying mobile, staying flexible, and developing the best form that we can for our lifts and for our training. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you have a great day and a great weekend. Adios.